Me again. Today I want to talk about Transformers 1. Um, now going into this, I had not seen the trailer, and my friends warned me that it looks terrible. Um, and I'm really, really glad that I didn't see the trailer because quite honestly, this might be the best Transformers movie since the 1980s, like in 40 years. Um, so I was really, really surprised. This movie's great. It's a blast. It's kind of like it's an animated prequel to the Transformers franchise. It's about the the fallout of two good friends and how they become enemies. It's about the beginning of the war. It reminded me a lot about reminded me a lot of like X-Men First Class or Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Um, the two movies that I actually really love a lot. Um, So I was really surprised how much I really enjoy this. Like the tragedy element is a big part of it. Um, I think the one of the biggest hooks that might get you interested in this movie is the cast. So we have Chris Hemsworth as baby Optimus Prime. We have Brian Tyree Henry as baby Megatron. Uh, we have Scarlett Johansson, Keegan-Michael Key, Steve Buscemi as Starscream, and Laurence Fishburne, and John Hamm. Um, Laurence Fishburne was my standout. I thought he was fantastic in this movie. He really kind of channels his Morpheus, um, and but in a slightly different way. And it is like he's almost like I don't want to get too much into like story details, but I was even kind of envisioning him as almost a Yoda figure. Um, with the way he plays his kind of like wise mentor. Um, really great casting, especially with Laurence Fishburne. John Hamm's character is kind of like the Homelander. He's kind of like uh, he's a really cool villain. I felt it wasn't John Hamm's best, and same for Brian Tyree Henry and Scarlett Johansson. And I felt they were all kind of replaceable, and you could have put someone else in those roles, and it would have been fine. Keegan-Michael Key, he's a little bit annoying, but he's a you know it's the comedic relief that you expect. The big surprise was Chris Hemsworth as baby Optimus Prime. Um, of course, Chris Hemsworth's an Australian actor, and you can really hear him transform his voice for this. Like, obviously, if you know Chris Hemsworth, you probably do. Then when you're watching, you hear his voice, and like you can recognize his mannerisms, you can recognize his voice, but you can also recognize um, his acting shift and trying to how he's trying to actually play Optimus Prime as Optimus Prime. It's his first animated role he's ever done, so it's really interesting to watch it. It's actually a good performance. So going into this movie, you don't need any prior information. I guess, a casual Transformers fan. I used to watch the cartoon a little bit in the 90s. Um, I'd watch some of the 80s cartoons, some of the 90s cartoon, and to me, that's still the magic of Transformers when I think about it. I watched a little bit of the live action movies. I don't think I've even seen two or three of them. Of course, I've seen trailers and stuff. I'm aware of them, but they really never captured me. But this movie really gets back to what the Transformers are. Especially you can see it in the character designs. The characters' designs are like very um they're modern, of course, right? But they keep the classic silhouettes. They keep the classic looks that you love from the original 80s, right? The animation of this isn't like it isn't very showy or very like it's not like a Spider-Verse movie, but it's beautiful and it keeps it restrained. There's the limitless potential of animation, but in this movie they really focus and they try to do a limited range of animation very, very well. Um, which is kind of nice. It's not like Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, or Into the Spider-Verse or something. It's just you want Transformers, you have Transformers. It's very classic animation. But they still keep it stylish and they still keep it beautiful and modern while still keeping those classic sensibilities, which is really nice. There's a lot of really unique ideas in this, especially in the landscapes, in the character designs. The character designs change over the course of the movie, and that's a really cool kind of rewarding thing to watch, I guess. Seeing the characters evolve and transform over the course of the movie, like this really has a big epic quality to it. Um, the world of Cybertron has a deep mythology, and they really get into it in this movie, and they really um, there's like a quest element, there's a mystery element to this, the conspiracy, and it's actually a lot of fun. Like I'm surprised how much I was really invested in this, how much I really enjoyed this movie. Because again, like you would think, oh, it's a silly kids movie or something, but um, genuinely, it is. I would really recommend this for even adults. Um, I was really surprised how much I enjoyed Transformers One. It's very captivating, very fun, very easy to follow. They have the story does get a little bit overcomplicated at times. They could have streamlined it a bit. Some of the story turns are a little overly convenient, especially towards the third act. It feels a lot like a stereotypical like MCU movie. And I realized afterwards that that's probably because Eric Pearson, who's like a classic Marvel writer, he wrote this movie also. Um, and especially with Chris Hemsworth and Scarlett Johansson, this is like probably the most MCU a movie could be because you have two classic MCU actors and the classic MCU writer. With so much they've set up in this movie and so many unique characters, um, it feels kind of like 100-minute pilot episode for a TV show. Um, I guess they probably want to continue this with more movies, but to me, this felt more something like Star Wars: The Clone Wars, not in quality, but in concept. And it feels like now they can spin off and they can continue a TV show in this timeline. I guess they could do more movies, but I don't know. I guess if they keep up the level of quality, why not do more movies? But I think if I was a kid, I would rather have this every week as like a Saturday morning cartoon, as like 20-minute episodes every week. I would rather have that than wait, 2 to 3 years for a new movie or even longer. Animation takes so long. I really thought the character expressions, their faces, their eyes are so emotive. They really give you so much with it, which is really nice because it's because of how simplified their designs are. Because there's not like all these robot parts like in the Michael Bay movies. Like it's really just a very like basic, almost plastic face that can actually move around like a human face does. And the eyes are really good. There's multiple colors in their eyes. The eyes like move and twist and change depending on what they're looking around or what they're feeling and what they're thinking. Like you really feel the emotion of the characters. You can really track what they're feeling and thinking. Like the robots are the main characters of this movie, which is really nice and really cool to think about because you don't need humans, I guess. Like you could have humans, but this is really this is really about the Transformers and the history of the Transformers. The Transformers are your characters in this. So it's nice that they're so emotive and expressive in this movie. Anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say. The music I was a little disappointed by. I think it's like decent, but it's not memorable at all. I was really listening for like a main theme and it never came. Or it never clicked for me. But overall, I think those are all my thoughts on this. I really recommend Transformers One if you're interested in Transformers or you have a kid around you and you want to share it with them. Even maybe if you're an adult, maybe you don't need to go to the theater for this. You could just catch it on streaming at home. But it's a fun time and it's actually, why not? It's one of the probably one of the better animated kids movies you'll find this year. But do keep in mind it is it's still kind of geared towards kids a little bit. Like it's not quite, as deep as like a Pixar movie, but there are actually like deep themes in this. Uh, I don't want to spoil too much, but there are themes about conformity versus freedom, about governments who lie to you, about conspiracies, about fighting for freedom, fighting for independence, about should a is a powerful leader one person, or is a powerful leader like empowering the individuals? Like, should you have one powerful figure, or should a society, should everyone have kind of equal power? Um, there are actual like themes in this and actual messages that you can take from it. So, you know, it's a little bit more than what you would think, especially from watching that awful trailer. Anyway, so those are my thoughts on Transformers 1. I also wanted to talk about two other movies that I saw this weekend. I saw Speak No Evil, which is a new remake of the 2022 Danish film of the same name. I wanted you to keep in mind the Danish film is very hardcore, very bleak. And this American movie is a little bit softer. I think both movies are worth checking out. Just keep in mind your experience will be different. And um, I think this new movie has a lot of strengths on its own. James McAvoy, Mackenzie Davis, Scoot McNairy, Aisling Franciosi, but James McAvoy kills it. He's absolutely the star of the show, and he really takes over everything in the best of ways. This is an acting showcase for everything you love about James McAvoy over his whole career. His new physicality with like this big brooding like Hulk form he has, or kind of the charmingness, the sweetness. There's humor. He's very funny in this. There's a lot of humor. It's kind of a bit of a horror thriller. Um, I don't want to spoil too much, but it's um, it's a very lean script, a lot of great performances, good tension. It's it's just a really of all the weird horror movies we got this summer, for example, or like something like Long Legs, The Crow, Strange Darling, Blink Twice. Of all of those, Speak No Evil would probably be my favorite. Maybe it's not like the flashiest, but I think it's overall the most well put together, the most cohesive, the strongest story, the most satisfying, um, the most like just solid movie with no minuses with it. It's just boom, hits. It's good. Written and directed by James Watkins. The last movie I want to talk about is called Lee. This is a British biographical drama about the World War II photographer Lee Miller. It's based on a biography written by her actual son. Um, the actual story is really interesting. The deeper you go into Lee Miller's Wikipedia, the more you realize why her story should be told and why people should know about her. It's really, really freaking cool. Uh, but this movie is not. This movie is profoundly boring. Screenplay by Liz Hannah, John Collee, Marion Hume, story by Hume, Collee, and Lem Dobbs. I've never heard of any of these people. Directed by Ellen Kuras, who is a fantastic cinematographer, but this is her first full-length movie that she's directed. Um, and the script and the direction are extremely lacking. It stars Kate Winslet, Andy Samberg, Alexander Skarsgård, many other famous people. The cast is great. Performances are good, especially Kate Winslet. She kills it. She's really, 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 really good in this. But this movie is not worth your time. It's really boring. The story is good. Just go on Wikipedia, read about it. Because that Wikipedia entry will be far more interesting and worthwhile than this movie. Um, the script sucked. The direction was aimless. Alexander Desplat does the score, and it's like astoundingly generic, which is shocking. It feels like this should be Oscar bait, but it's not worth the Oscars at all. It's not even worth the nomination. Um, the kind of political messaging of this movie, like it's a good message, but it's handled so clumsily. It feels like it should have come out 8 years ago, not now. It just feels like a weird relic of like a, a past era that we've moved on from a little bit, and now we're ready for something more challenging and more nuanced. This is a little bit clumsy, like um, and even if you support the message, I think you can agree we can have better stuff now. Um, so I don't know. I was a little bit actually very disappointed in this movie. Lee, I was pretty bored in the theater, and I was a lot happier just reading about her regular life on Wikipedia. Um, anyway, so that's it. Those are the movies I watched this weekend. Transformers 1, great recommendation. Speak No Evil, also pretty good horror movie. And Lee, a pretty boring biographical drama that really fumbled with a great story potential. Anyways, that's it, guys. Have a great week. I'll see you next time. Bye.